13 that allow children under 16 to wed. We've got more details. We'll go into it, but Michael, this seems like a thing that they need to catch up on. Seems really weird when people are traveling to your state just so they can marry a kid.
I would have raised it a little more and lowered that difference a little bit too. Or raised that difference a little bit. Why are they complaining that the 49-year-old and the 17-year-old aren't going to be coming to their state anymore? I think that's great news that avoid that, right?
That is true. I don't know. Sometimes I question things and I wonder whether I'm going to be considered intolerant or whatever. But is there any conceivable argument for a 49-year-old and a 17-year-old to get married that is not what we immediately think of when we hear it? Can you?
Of course not. There's no reason at all, and it shouldn't be. But by the way, they still could with this, right? Because it's going up from 14 to 16.
That's true. I don't know where that. Yeah, I guess it's just a 16-year-old that would have that limit of 4 years. Hey, look, they're still open-minded. Anyway,
the 48-year-old with the 16-year-old would still be fine too. It's just
that's true. Would have to wait.
16-year-old would have to wait. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't understand our country. I don't understand some of the things that have carried on. That's just crazy. I know
there are these old crazy laws on so many states' books, but what I'm saying here is they didn't change it enough. This is like, if you're going to change it and you're going to do it and you're going to try and get Governor Cooper to sign it, change it to like 18. It's fine.
Well, and by the way, like I think it's a very reasonable thing to say. Okay, so you're saying it should be 17 is weird, but it's 18 in a lot of places, so I guess that's not weird. No, I'm not really fundamentally just talking about the law here. I get that at some point there has to be a limit, and I don't know what number that limit would have to be for the 49-year-old to not seem weird. It would be a hell of a lot higher than 18. I get that people at 18 are considered to be adults or whatever, but it still does seem very weird. I mean, when you have a thing where it's not even that like, is there? Yes, I was just going to assume it was a man. No, it was a man. It's not even a thing where he could be her father. It would be weird if he was her father at that point. Like that's pretty old even to be your father. That's almost grandfather territory at that point there.
No, it's not. I disagree. But it's
okay.
It's that I don't agree with. But it's it's certainly putting a dent in North Carolina's pervert tourism, and I think that's good. They just should have put a bigger dent in it. That age difference is unconscionable.
Good, and my math may be off there, but anyway, the whole thing just makes me uncomfortable. North Carolina's got to improve. And by the way, if it does, when this goes through, I'm sure they'll find a new tourist destination for it. I don't know. We got to change our culture in a lot of ways. It's not something that we're going to solve in one state with one piece of legislation in one day. But we got to improve. Anyway, what was that?
We need the Taliban.
Clearly, I don't like the cultural overlaps I already see there.
Right.
Anyway, finally, before you go, I want to read this one comment from Nicole Smith. Said, Michael, TYT and TDR is not an echo chamber. Free thought and debate are not just welcome; they're encouraged. They supported you questioning our story. By the way, sometimes I question. Sometimes in the middle of a segment, I question whether we should still be talking about it. So I appreciate that.
I think I've made a good representation of me disagreeing with TYT a lot in many years here. So I'm not.
That is true.
Thanks for the encouragement.
Yeah. Anyway, Michael, thank you so much for joining us once again. I hope that it can become a regular thing. It's great to have you back.
Absolutely. Thanks, John. It's great to be here.
Awesome. By the way, trivia for people watching. Other than TYTU, which I was on, TYT University, the first show I was brought on, the first like politics show I was brought on was Michael's show, 2012, way back in the day, to talk about some Senate primary or something like that. It was actually Michael that gave me my start in politics on TYT. So thank you, Michael. Thanks. Okay, everybody watching at home, thank you so much for watching. Indisputable is coming up in just a few moments, so stay tuned. Jordan Uhl will be joining Dr. Rashad Ritchie, very exciting. And then after Indisputable, you got reactions with Rayvana, so there's a lot of exciting stuff coming up. But what you need to do first is you need to head to the community tab on the Damage Report channel. First of all, if you're gonna take part in the tier 3 Q&A, which is coming up next Monday, please post some questions. I love having questions to discuss. But also, you gotta vote in this week's Community Garbage Person of the Week poll. We've chosen some of the worst people in politics. You can go to the community tab and vote now. We'll discuss tomorrow. That said, stay safe out there, stay sane out there, and we'll see you soon.
Yep, you know what time it is. Welcome to Indisputable. Good to be with you. We have a lot on the agenda today. In the bullpen, we will have Eric Grunor, conservative Christian blogger, and we'll debate vaccines, mask mandates, COVID-19 stuff. That should be very fun. Make sure you stay for that bullpen segment. Also, breaking down news of the day, the big homie, Jordan Uhl, progressive activist and host of Deep Dive. Top story for today. There's a Miami cop, there's a Miami police officer who has been relieved of duty because he's being investigated for flashing a white power hand gesture during a photograph. Okay, I kid you not. The city of Miami police officer is under investigation because of what he was doing in a photo taken while on duty. The picture in question was taken Friday after Miami police made a big gun bust, but now top department brass, they are taking a closer look. A commander, ladies and gentlemen, a commander posted the photo on Twitter, and someone noticed the officer at the far end of the picture flashing hand signals that some consider the white power message. Let's put it up. Okay, you see him with his buddies, all right? The guy to the far end throwing up the hand gestures. It is in fact a white power gesture by the accounts of many. So there it is in single profile. Now, according to this fella, all right, according to this guy, his name is Daniel Obida. According to Daniel, he's just throwing up a 6. Let's put that picture back up again. You must think we boo-boo the fool. That's what he says he's doing, okay? The department, ladies and gentlemen, they're not buying it. That man is Miami police officer Daniel Obida. The tweet was deleted less than 48 hours after it was posted. The commander who posted it also made his account private. This was meant to be private between him and his six guys, said President of the Miami Fraternal Order of Police, Tommy Reyes, holding up his fingers. It was not supposed to be posted on Twitter. Wait a minute. Why? He's just throwing up a 6. Why is that not supposed to be on Twitter? Doesn't make much sense, Fraternal Order of Police. This time, Miami police, the chief, decided this was enough. Relieved this cop of duty, and an internal affairs investigation is ongoing. Now, let me tell you why they did this, okay? Let me tell you why they did it. Number one, they already know he's a white supremacist. Okay, believe me, there are things that they know that we don't know. It wasn't just this photo. And he was spotted wearing another white supremacist sign. Here it is right here. Yeah, his Trump mask. He got in trouble for this. Let me give you some background, ladies and gentlemen. On the morning of October 20th, the city of Miami police officer walked into a local polling place. You heard me right. A polling place to cast his ballot during early voting while sporting his full uniform and a mask that read, Trump 2020, no more bull-ish. My producers are like, don't say the whole word. No, I know the rules here. So he wore that mask saying 2020, Trump 2020, no more bull-ish. He was reprimanded and he was eventually let go because of this new incident. But ladies and gentlemen, this is just a problematic cop, problematic police officer. Let's be very clear about it. And we are continuing to follow this story because while he has been relieved of duty now, I need to know what has he done while on duty. If he's willing to throw up white power symbols and willing to wear in, by the way, violation of voting laws, wear a Trump sign as a mask while he goes and votes. And listen, when they called him out on this, when he went to vote, He said, hey, sweetheart, you want to take a picture? That's what he told the person who actually said, hey, listen, what are you doing? Okay, to talk about this and a whole lot more, I got the big homie Jordan Uhl. Jordan, how do you see this stuff, man?
Dr. Rishi, first of all, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
This story is just like, a symptom of the disease. We live in a sick, racist society. And if you are somebody who, has these violent or racist fantasies, what better place to get cover for them than joining a police department? We've seen time and time again reports about how even the FBI has been investigating people with links to white nationalist or white supremacist groups who are embedded in police forces. They all knew. That's why you saw the line about, this picture wasn't supposed to be posted. They knew what this guy's beliefs were. There's racism and white supremacy is rampant in police departments around the country. Last time I was on, we talked about a case in Baltimore, which is one of the worst police departments in the country, just blatantly racist and acting out against the city. This isn't community policing. This isn't to protect and serve. These are people who have hateful, bigoted views, getting cover from the state, and in the process are getting militarized. It's extremely dangerous to have someone like this out on the streets with a gun, with weapons, with military surplus gear, whatever. That he was even, reprimanded is shocking to me because this is so commonplace.
Yeah, it really is, and that's why leadership matters. The reason why this has been handled the way it has been handled is because of that police chief. That police chief said, we will not do this on my watch. Now, that wasn't the police chief during the first incident, but it is the police chief during this one. And you see a very different outcome based on the leadership that's involved. You did not need a new statute. You did not need a new ordinance. You did not need a new mayor. You simply needed a new person in leadership. In law enforcement, leadership makes a big difference. Let me shift gears to something else quite insane happening in the state of Texas. A Texas parent has ripped the mask off of a school teacher during school hours, okay? This incident happened according to the school superintendent, Tom Leonard. This is in Austin, Texas at the Eames Independent School District. Tom Leonard, the superintendent, said some parents physically and verbally assaulted teachers because of masks. One parent ripped a teacher's mask off her face, Leonard said. Others yelled at another teacher to remove her mask because they claimed it made it difficult to understand what she was saying. So literally, school is just now starting in this school district. You have parents who held a rally before school saying they were anti-mask. That's fine, parents, you have the right to protest and hold a peaceful rally. But you do not have the right to engage in physical and criminal activity inside of the school system. What kind of example are you setting for your own children, right? So this parent, whose name has not been revealed yet, we will continue to follow up. This parent decided to rip the mask off of a teacher. Here's the superintendent, Tom Leonard. Poor Tom. Tom is in a state, ladies and gentlemen, that has a governor who is antithetical to protecting children. That's where Tom is, okay? This type of behavior will not be tolerated in Eames ISD, Leonard wrote Tuesday. Our staff are on the front lines of this pandemic. Let's give them some space and grace, please. I am asking everyone to be kind. Do not fight mask wars in our schools. Sounds like good damn advice to me, right? Listen, whatever your personal belief may be, whatever your political ideology may be, do not physically fight school teachers inside of the school system. Don't do that. That's not the way to resolve conflict here. But I want to remind you of what's happening now. So Republicans are on record, conservatives and Trump humpers, they are on record for being anti-teacher, anti-Capitol Police, anti-federal government, anti-military, but somehow they are still pro-democracy. Somehow they are still patriots. They are anti-US Constitution, anti-electoral college, anti-democracy, anti-presidential election. They're anti. But they're pro for you. How does that work? How are they pro-American and they are adversarial to everything in the United States of America? Everything. It gets deeper. COVID-19 cases in Texas continue to rise, driven by the highly contagious Delta variant. In the past week, cases rose 11% and hospitalizations increased by 21%, according to the Washington Post coronavirus tracker. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, a Republican, who has pushed to ban mask mandates in schools, announced Tuesday, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? He tested positive for coronavirus. Well, you don't say, Governor. You don't say. Here's the video that the governor decided to post about his positive COVID test.
Hi, this is Governor Greg Abbott. As you may have heard by now, I have tested positive for COVID-19. I test myself every day, and today is the first day that I tested positive. The good news is that my wife continues to test negative. Also want you to know that I have received the COVID-19 vaccine, and that may be one reason why I'm really not feeling any symptoms right now. I have no fever, no aches and pains, no other types of symptoms.
The hell? Wait a minute. Let me get this right. The governor, he is for taking the vaccination. He agrees that the science of it works the way it should work, because since he's vaccinated, his symptoms are not severe. That's agreeing with the science here. But somehow he disagrees with the science of wearing a mask for children especially. He disagrees with the science of mask mandates in school systems, which every statistical study has shown absolutely decreases the number of COVID positives, especially among children. So he agrees with the science as it relates to him, but he disagrees with the science as it relates to children. Jordan, what do you make of this, brother?
I was appalled reading this story because the reports about what this parent did to the teacher were pretty violent. I saw the teacher was bleeding. He had lacerations on his face, bruising on his face, and a lump on the back of his head. I mean, this person was assaulted by a parent who, just seems to have their brain just rotted by Facebook and this overall culture war. And I'm really glad you brought up Abbott because that is such a perfect example of a Republican official who says one thing and does another. So he's doing everything he can to protect himself. He's vaccinated. He's probably, in some cases, probably wears a mask, might social distance. He was not the night before he revealed he was at that party. But he's taking the necessary precautions. But that type of misinformation has been weaponized by right-wing demagogues. Like, think about how we even got to this point, where a teacher would violently, or where a teacher would be violently assaulted by a parent over wearing a mask. This didn't happen overnight. It's right-wing officials, it's right-wing demagogues weaponizing misinformation to fuel this culture war, and that they're willing to do that is horrifying. Because think about what comes next. Think about how these people can be mobilized later on in the next iteration or the next front of this culture war. It's really, really horrifying, but I feel bad for the teacher because they simply just wanted to protect the kids.
Yeah, and the teachers obviously should not be in the middle of this, but they are. And the irony is so staggering, right? The irony is the individuals who are saying, we don't want to wear a mask because we believe in freedom. These are the ones taking away freedom from other people. They are the ones ripping masks off of somebody else's face. They are the ones trying to limit and restrict the mobility of others. We did a story not too long ago where a guy told a person in a mask at a rally, we know where you live. We know where you live. That's a threat. That's a threat. How are we walking in freedom when that is our response to someone who may have an ideological difference as it relates to our personal health care? That doesn't make sense. And there is nothing else in the healthcare arena that has been politicized like COVID-19. Nothing else, because it started political. It started political and it has remained political from day one. And it's not political. Just because something has been politicized does not mean it is in fact or inherently political. This is a health issue and it remains a health issue. So at this point, we see exactly what the right is going to do in their political movement, in their commercials, in these midterm elections. They are going to run on this platform that somehow those on the left have attempted to take away their civil liberties, their rights. And don't you find this ironic, brother, that the same people who would say things like, and I made this point yesterday, I make it again, a baker has the right to refuse service to a gay couple. These are the same people that say some mess like that, right? And then they will say, if that same baker refuses you service because you're not wearing a mask, that is now a violation of your constitutional rights. What hypocrisy here.
Yeah, that's conservatism, right? It was never about like individual liberty or freedom to do what you want. It's about how can I do whatever I want and enact my will unilaterally, and that's it. That is their idea of liberty and freedom. It's what do I got to do exactly what I want? In the case of the cake, it's hating members of the LGBTQIA+ community. In this, it's I want to go to Applebee's without a mask. Like it never makes sense. There's no ideological consistency. It's rights for me, but not for thee.
Yeah, and here's something else that's not happening. You don't see school teachers, because they are able to talk at these school board meetings. You don't see them saying, we don't want masks here. You don't see that movement happening with school teachers. What happened to us listening to our school teachers? I love school teachers. I was adopted by a school teacher. She's still a K-12 school teacher to this day, all right? Why are we not listening to educators as it relates to what's happening in K-12 public education? All right, we got more on the other side. It's indisputable, stick and stay.
I went to Kentucky Fried Chicken when I had first got my license, like 17 years old or 17, 18, whatever it was. And I'm driving, I think my dad's Oldsmobile, and I parked it in a place where there was two cars next to me, really tight spot, and a car behind me. I don't even know how I got in there because I'm a terrible driver. Back then I was an even worse driver. And on the roads I'm okay, but in parking spots I have terrible spatial reasoning and I'm a mess. And on my way out, I hit all three cars at once. I broke all records, okay? So I went, as I'm backing out, I went boom, oh and this side hit that car, this side hit this car, and the back hit the third car, okay? And I got stuck. I didn't know how to get out. Like I went, okay, for this, and then I'm like, no, and then, right? And then finally I had to stop, go inside the KFC and go, I'm sorry, I hit a bunch of your cars. They're like, what do you mean a bunch of your cars? I'm like, I don't know.
Wow, there's a B?
Yeah, I'm like this, I hit 3 cars, I don't know. So you guys gotta come help me, okay? Okay, so one, my bad, really sorry about that. Okay, number 2, can someone take my car out? Because I don't wanna keep hitting your cars and I'm incapable of taking it out of this spot.
Now baby, move that fat, baby, move that fat.
Hi, I'm Brett Ehrlich with Breaking News with Brett Ehrlich. This is Breaking News with Brett Ehrlich. Hi, Brett Ehrlich here. According to EPA head Scott Pruitt, climate change is not happening. He cited a meme on Facebook he saw. When pressed to back up this source, he said it must be accurate because the watermark said it was made by a scientist. So, your move, Truth.
Do all of you know the Young Turks?
An outlet like yourself that are willing to cover this story from the very beginning and that weren't afraid to say, hey, this is something that is legitimate.
And this is why what Cenk and the Young Turks are doing is so important.
Brent Welder is very progressive Democrat. He's a just Democrat. In fact, uncorrupted, not going to take big corporate PAC money. When did you start watching this show and when did you become a member?
So I've been watching for 10 years, an active viewer, but also more importantly, getting out there with causes like Wolfpack.
By the end of our campaign, we had organized about 22,000 individual contributions with an average about $27 a piece. And those initial people were a lot of TYT supporters as well.
In looking at the world in a very different way than corporate media does.
It takes those early people who believe that can really be the seeds of this movement, and that has been the Young Turks.
Thank you. Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks.
Thank you to TYT and all the progressives around the country that have our backs.
You know, the first and only interviews that we had tonight to be with the Young Turks as well, because you guys have been here from the very beginning, and that's what this night is all about.
And I thank Cenk very much for the very good work that he does.
Thank you so much. We're all in this together, and the people are so powerful, and we're gonna get it done.
Thank you for your constant support.
It's a pleasure to be with rebels. I like that.
For all of the help that you've given to the Just Democrats, to Wolfpack, to help fellow progressives, thank you guys, to all the Young Turks members that make it possible.
Hey, this is Edwin. Most of you might recognize me, well, not me, mostly my laugh from the main show.
I mean, it's gonna be hard to get the Uygur maneuver on him.
And today, my talent is Rubik's Cubes. You gotta forgive me, it's been at least 5 years since I've competed. So that's why I'm actually going pretty slow. Watch this.
Welcome back to Indisputable. We got a lot of comments. Let me read as many as I can. Thank you all for chiming in. And don't forget, Ravana, right after us today, okay? Make sure that happens, all right? Stick and stay. TYT member Trey Doro says, so we got low-wage jobs that are scrambling to hire folks because those jobs cause more harm than good. And now we got parents trying to impose their beliefs and get in teachers' personal space. We're about to lose teachers, bet. That's a sad cause and effect reality. Gino says, here's an idea for Texas teachers. Any parent who threatens an educator will have their kid enrolled in a CRT course. That's pretty funny, actually. Great idea. Super chat, YouTube. Kelly O'Hara, my poet. White power in the police? ? No way. There's no racism in America today. He can only count his way to 6, sometimes like a bigger problem to fix. There you go, well said. Charles Lee Joseph Massey III. Don't these parents protesting masks on the first day of school have a job to go to? Obviously not. Mark Allen, these anti-mask governors should be charged with murder. Crumble 104, thank you. Joel Owens, thank you. Naturally, Tura H, dog whistle to the whole gang and the ones that support them. Tony D, this is why I like Jordan. Yeah, I like Jordan too. Twitch, Captain Cornball says, gotta love a policeman who won't respect the authority of the polling workers, didn't respect their authority whatsoever, you're right. Fat guy named Tiny says, and this is a great point, fat guy named Tiny. I've said it ad nauseum. If you have 5 bad cops and 1,495 good cops, that don't do anything about the bad ones, you have 1,500 bad cops. Exactly. Evil does not permeate because evil men simply do evil things. It permeates because good men sit back and do nothing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this was really interesting. There's a meeting, we had to get to it. It went off the rails very quickly. Anti-Vaxxer at a county board meeting. This is in San Diego County. This is the board of supervisors. The meeting descended into chaos. Let's just go to the video.
You're about to open a pit of hell. You do not get a vaccine passport put on us. You know, as the population who's in control, you know that the people who are the politicians, once you get a power, you will never relinquish it. Do you think that the 4 feet of marble that holds you above high in this chamber will help you from the fate of humanity which you are unleashing? No! It won't! Your children and your children's children will be subjugated! They will be asked, how many vaccines have you had? Have you been a good little Nazi? Hail Fauci! Hail Fauci! Hail Fauci! Hail Fauci! There has been a lot of talk about the Nuremberg Code. Well, I brought you a copy. You are all in violation of Section 1. Yes, you, Dr. Wooten. You are in violation of the Nuremberg Code, which is international law. And the definition is...
Thank you, sir. Your time has expired.
The definition, we shall not be...
I like the way the guy calmly said, sir, your time has expired. Okay, first of all, if you are in public education, you already have vaccine mandates. Okay, everybody has a vaccine mandate protocol in virtually every public school in the United States of America. This is not a new thing, is my point. The gentleman that you saw there, his name is Matt Baker. Mr. Baker, in addition to this county board meeting, Baker was also present at the anti-masker Proud Boys rally that turned violent, held this past month at LA City Hall. Okay, so he was there. SDA against Fash. This was a reply about Matt Baker. And you see also present at the Proud Boys rally that took place. You see that. So there's picture. Also, a Twitter user claiming they used to know Baker and worries about his current mental state said this. This is from Brett Wise. He said, and I quote, "I knew Matt as a regular when I was a barista in OB. He is clearly not well, and his mental health has deteriorated significantly since I've last chatted with him. I hope he is able to get better. This is horrific." Jordan, what are your thoughts?
This, I mean, we mentioned it in the last clip, but it seems to be the theme here with people who are anti-vax, anti-mask, and in this case, drawing comparisons to Hitler. People's brains have been completely fried by the internet. Even look at today, the Capitol. There's a guy who researchers quickly found. He was going to the Library of Congress. He claimed he had a bomb, and they looked at his Facebook, and it's just filled with all of these right-wing meme and propaganda pages. We see this manifest in different ways, and people, are now thinking that a simple vaccine mandate or mask requirement to ensure public health is akin to Hitler and the rise of the Nazis, which is one, deeply offensive, and two, historically inaccurate. Like you pointed out, teachers have to get vaccines, students have to get vaccines to protect against things that we have found cures for a century ago. This is nothing new, but these flames are stoked by demagogues, misinformation artists, whatever, because they see it as a new front in the culture war, which is sad. This is how it manifests. I feel bad for people who have to deal with this kind of stuff on a government level, because it's already hard to attract good talent to local government because it's so underappreciated and so underpaid. So that people are even willing to deal with this is one, the true meaning of a public servant, and I feel bad for anyone who has to face people like this. This guy is a lunatic.
Yeah, and we don't have the numbers all codified yet, but we do know that school teachers have resigned because of these COVID battles. We know that superintendents, some high profile, they have decided to seek other careers due to the way their local government decided to handle the COVID issue and mask mandates or banning the school's ability to actually implement a mask regimen. None of this makes sense. And think about it this way. If we were talking about another country, right? Let's say we're not talking about America, we're talking about another country. And we're saying things like, wow, that country, they won't allow children to wear masks to protect themselves from this serious virus. We would all universally agree, man, that's just wrong. They need to be able to at least make the decision. But because it's happening domestically and we're in the middle of it, we're kind of inside of the boiling pot. We don't realize that we're being cooked in real time. And that's what's happening to us here in America. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look at how we exercise our foreign policy. The jingoism and the xenophobia we apply to every other country around the world. If any other country did this, and especially in a majority black or brown country did this, we would accuse him of being a culture of child abusers. We look at how people talk about people in Afghanistan right now. You're seeing tons of, unilateral condemnations of the country as pedophiles and child abusers because of like one sect of the army. They would unilaterally smear any other majority black or brown country who did this. But here it's okay because it's entrenched in our liberty or whatever. But then we have a country like New Zealand who locks down immediately when there's one case and protects everyone because there's a sense of collectivism.
That's right.
Hey, look, one person has it. Let's all quickly, it's going to be a little bit of a sacrifice, but in the long run, we can quickly go back to living our normal lives, and they all get it because it makes sense. But no one can do that here. It's a selfish country that just continues to project our own issues onto the rest of the world, unfortunately.
Very well said, brother. Very well said. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish a Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday?
You're still free. Back off! I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
More than happy.
Just laughed at.
Sir, you said you were going to run us over.
I did not say that.
You did say
I
that.
I deny it.
You
do you have it on? Do you have it on?
I do have it on camera. I do have it on camera.
Let me see it.
I don't have to show you anything. It's going on the news.
Get the out of my country.
You racist jackass.
That's right.
I'm here to stay.
I'm an American.
I'm here to stay.
Get the out of my country.
So am I.
You're not an American.
You're
Let me
so
see your vaccine
ignorant.
card. You got your vaccine card?
You are so ignorant.
Get the out of here. You're from Pennsylvania. That's where all the communists are. We all know it. Get the out.
Oh my
you got
God.
a mask on?
Are
you beautiful?
Where's your mask?
I take it back. All right. You're beautiful.
I don't need you
You want a
tell
date?
me I'm
You want a date?
beautiful.
Come on, let's go on a date. Maybe we
wish.
have sexual tension.
You
that's
wish.
what it is.
You wish.
But that's
You
what it
wish.
is. No, I think
You're
you wish.
disgusting.
I think you wish.
are disgusting.
You would get the
human
best 2 inches in your life.
Oh
honey.
yeah.
The best 2 inches of
God,
your
camera.
life.
You're on camera. Today.
So just take it as a
Go ahead.
Keep 6 feet apart.
Why? Are you afraid of COVID?
No. The world needs to see this. No. You're on camera.
You're pretty heavy.
Okay.
You better go on a diet.
Okay, so are you. You're disgusting. Have you seen your belly? Have you seen your belly?
Yeah,
Have you seen your belly?
Look, this is
Have
why
you
my belly's
seen your
big.
belly?
This is why my belly's
Okay,
big.
well, don't attack me then, sir.
I'm not
This
attacking
is
you.
going all
This
over
is
the
why my
news.
be-
This is
Otherwise,
going
I'm
all
an
over the
Adonis.
news.
I'm a fucking Adonis.
This is going all over the news.
Good. Put it on
Enjoy.
internet.
Enjoy being famous.
I don't even know where to start. Okay, I really don't. Let me start with the fact that these male Karens are all very similar, okay? It's about, once again, putting somebody in their place. It is chauvinistic. By the way, he's wearing a US military veterans lives matter. That's the shirt he's wearing, all right? This was obviously very weird. He was bigoted and racist, telling this Muslim woman to go back to where she came from. This is his country, et cetera, et cetera. But then it took a turn for the worse, and nobody thought it would take this turn. But I was even grossed out watching it. That's rare. I've become an observer of these things. This was not fun, all right? This person has not been identified yet. We are trying to fully identify this individual, or has he been identified? Okay, no. So we're trying to fully identify this individual, and we will continue to stay on top of it. I just have a feeling that once we post this on YouTube, he will be identified pretty quickly, all right? Jordan, you saw it. What ran through your mind as you're watching this male Karen exercise, I guess, his freedoms?
Well, first of all, so you call yourself an observer of these videos. Like, I think, give yourself more credit. You are a sommelier of Karen. you know exactly what to look for in these types of things. Like the notes that pop up in all of these videos. You have a very refined palate. But as I told you during the break, this was one of the funniest things I've seen in a while because it's really a roller coaster. It's okay, yes, immediately he starts being racist. And then it's like, hey, I got 2 inches for you, baby. Like, just immediately goes into like a sexual connotation. Then he starts lifting up his shirt to show a scar or like abscess or something on his stomach. This was really, really fascinating. But I mean, this is, I usually write notes for everything that we talk about. And this I had like no words, just put LOL, because I don't really know what to make of this. This guy needs help. Unfortunately, he's being racist to this woman who just wanted to, I guess get a coffee or a donut or whatever. But what a raving lunatic. And again, as so often is the case with these stories we talk about, it's somebody who has unfortunately had their brain just totally fried and distorted by right-wing media and demagogues. He was, wearing the troop apparel. He was, making fun of COVID. He was being racist. He checks every box.
Yep.
For these types of lunatics.
I don't know why we don't routinely call them radicalized, but they are radicalized. If you listen to what they're saying at these school board meetings, at these county commission meetings, and then how they interact with individuals who may not look like them, which is what we consider to be identity politics or their white identity political structure. They always do this. And I talked a little bit about this before, but there's an entire research dynamic connected to what's called group status downgrade. And group status downgrade says in the research that if an individual who so strongly identifies with a group, in this case, we will call it a racial group, okay? So identifies with a particular racial group, if they think that there is something that will downgrade their privilege or their status in that group, they will then do unthinkable things in order to obtain and retain power for that particular group. And you see the reactions of these individuals, and they are so extreme, but we don't call them extremists. They are obviously radicalized, but we don't call them radicalized. And so now I'm going to make an intentional point to call them what they are. They are, many of them, religious extremists. I don't care that they believe in Christianity. Okay, they are religious extremists, many of them. And they have been radicalized, as you said, Jordan, sometimes by the internet, the rhetoric. They have self-radicalized. That is a real thing in social science and psychology. Okay, we have more on the other side. This is indisputable. Stick and stay.
You're about to watch some behind the scenes footage of the Young Turks. Ooh. Now these are partial videos. If you want to get all of them, you become a member, go to tyt.com/join, and you'll get all the behind the scenes of me, Anna, John, JR, a little bit reality show like, tyt.com/join, and enjoy this.
You know what you're seeing behind me? Jersey, hold. Watch me flip this camera. However I flip it. Do I flip it like this? No, I just took a picture. I'm bitzing right now.
What?
Behind the scenes.
Oh, okay. For members? I don't have my face on.
She doesn't have her face on, folks. Oh, that's JR's ass right there.
You can't take 5 minutes off, can you?
No, I can't, Johnny. Bye. I said it was live stream, but I was lying. It's not a live stream. It's just for members. Bitsy, this is my cat. You know what his name is? Kiki Cat.
Animals are innocent.
Control room and the insanity is obviously there.
Right now, as you can see, I'm directing or tech directing.
I'm so happy to be here.
This is what like a Labor Day beard looks like for Cenk. Man, you're a Young Turks viewer if you recognize me like this.
Oh, thank you. You are the one person in my life I would love to meet.
What's going on, guys? This is a Bitsy or a BTS or behind the scenes with Hassan Piker, AKA Woke Bay.
Oh, hi, I didn't see you there.
I have finished my show, The Damage Report, and now I get into a really awkward time of the day.
When I'm sitting, the control room is right there. So I can see Bart.
And this is the Pittsburgh office, by the way. Referred to often as the boiler room.
You see how it's ripped? Is it super unprofessional to wear that at a business meeting? Or am I like cool, rebel?
I just finished doing the power panel and I'm fired up.
What do you do for TYT?
Not a whole lot.
If you're frantically tweeting at us that something's broken, thank you, because I'm fixing it.
And thank you for being a TYT member.
Super last thing, because there's always got to be a super last thing. Oh, that was disastrous. This has been behind the scenes, behind the scenes.
Welcome Welcome to Indisputable. I'm your host, Dr. Rashad Richard. We got a lot happening today. But what do we do on this show? We tell the truth. You know why we tell the truth? Because the truth is simply indisputable.
Rashad, great to be here. Congratulations on the new show. And I gotta let everybody know that Rashad and I go way back.
Here's the pattern that we see in all of these Karen stories. They think they own stuff they do not own. Now, where does that come from? I don't know, maybe slavery. Maybe they think they should still own black people.
This is what happens when Karens weaponize the police.
When you're used to privilege, equality seems like oppression.
It hits you in a certain way when someone is holding you against your will, treating you like you're a criminal and you're an innocent person. This is something that black people face no matter where they are.
A stronger black economy lends itself to a stronger, greater economy. Don't think it's exclusive of you, it's inclusive of you.
What's your beef with critical race theory?
It adds more fuel to the fire of the racist tendencies that we already have.
We have a generation of problem solvers that can remedy the problem if they are properly taught what the problem is.
You know who created redlining in this country? It was a white liberal.
I don't give a damn who created it. If it's a racist policy, Shelley, here's what I don't know. I don't know. See, there you go filibustering, brother. You're scared of this truth, but you're gonna get it though.
Climate is changing fundamentally, extremely, and non-linearly. It's becoming worse now. It's not when the levees burst that is the problem. It's in the anticipation of that.
So I hope every human being is safe. And by human beings, I do not include multinational corporations, especially the ones that started climate change in the first place.
What we're currently doing right now in cutting emissions is clearly not enough. There will be ramifications to what Trump is doing. I don't want people to suffer, but I feel like there's gonna be a lot of suffering because we have an imbecile as our leader.
Welcome back to Indisputable. We got a lot of show left, all right? Let's go to some of the comments. TYT member Danielle Labique says, hi, Dr. Richie, it is great to see you. I had to stay away for a few days. The news is so tragic every day between COVID, police killings, racism, climate change, and everything else. It can be too much to deal with. But I am back now. I'm happy you're back, by the way. I am back now and happy to be surrounded by my TYT family. Thank you for keeping me up to date on the truth. Doc, love you, and I love you back. Thank you for that. Cognitive dissonance is a hell of a drug says, this is like a sermon straight out of hell. I mean, that was fire and brimstone, right? He came in the spirit of a Christian evangelical preacher. All right, Electric Miscellaneous says, I think anti-vax Karens have surpassed guns as the most dangerous thing that teachers and administrators have to worry about. I promise you it has. Do a survey. Yeah. Tredor says, what in the hell? So he starts off with being racist. Then he wants to date. Then he says he's 2 inches. Right. Just, yeah. Okay, YouTube super chat, DH. If your greatest source of pride is an accident of birth, you need to re-examine your choices and priorities. Yep. Mark Murray says exactly what AOC was worried about. Samuel Vimes, it's funny until they get their hands on weapons. That's right. Vanessa Maldonado, imagine if this was a black person yelling like that, police would have tackled him or worse. Yep. Okay. Mojo Quid says Doc needs to prop Mike to drop. LOL. Needs a prop Mike to drop. Thank you for that. The Awakening 71. Karens are insane. 2 inches, LOL. David Pearson, oh my God, Jordan, awesome line. Yes. Pyralicia, I'm sure I said that wrong. I apologize in advance. Twitch, losing nurses and teachers doesn't look bright. Doesn't look like a bright future. Yep. Frankie Z13, he needs to exercise more than his freedoms. That was a low blow, man. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, true story. You see that cop right there? He knocked out a 16-year-old black child, a female, a woman. He knocked out a young girl. He knocked her out, unconscious. He will not be facing charges. This is in Osceola County, the deputy is a school resource officer. His name is Ethan Fournier, who body slammed a black 16-year-old student, okay? He will not be facing charges. This was at Liberty High School. The student's name is Taylor Bracy. Here's that video. The update, the development is that police officer, a school resource officer, and any resource officer will tell you, the good ones, they will tell you they are not there to arrest kids. They are there to be a mentor, to be a guide, to be a help in a way. They're not there to do that, okay? According to the background, he was trying to stop her from fighting. Listen, he knocked the girl out. He knocked her out. The cop in question says that he would like to return to Liberty High School if given the opportunity. Let's put up a picture of this dear young girl that he assaulted. Let's put her picture up. Do we have it? Okay, we'll get back to it. Here are some details that led to the incident, okay? The teenager was knocked unconscious when her head hit the concrete after the cop slammed her down. You saw that on the video. Authorities say Fournier was trying to stop Bracy from fighting another student. But Bracy's mother told reporters the altercation was only a verbal one, not a physical one. The video posted on social media of the incident does not show what led up to the body slam. Do we have, okay, let's go to the picture of the young lady. That's the young lady, okay? That is the young lady who was knocked out by this grown ass man. Now here's the reality. If there's a verbal altercation, that happens all across the planet, okay? Especially in high schools, especially when someone has a conflict, right? If you are a resource officer and the only way that you can resolve a verbal altercation among teenagers is to knock out one of the teenagers, come on now. Okay, the aftermath, according to the girl's mom, Jamisha Bracy, the teen suffered from sleeping problems and memory loss after the incident. The cop was placed on administrative leave pending an investigation. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement opened an investigation in January and then turned the findings over to the state attorney. Under the state law, officers are permitted to use force under certain circumstances. They determined, ladies and gentlemen, these folks determined that knocking out a 16-year-old black girl in high school was the appropriate response of this officer. That's what they have now determined. This is a quote from the county sheriff, Marcos Lopez. The quote says, once the officer or the deputy decides we're no longer in control of the situation, he's gonna resort to the tactics that he's trained by. They're not always gonna look pretty, but this was the best way to maintain control of that situation. You sick SOBs. You're telling me that the best way to gain control over a verbal argument is to knock out a 16-year-old black child. That's what you're saying. That's what you're standing by here, Sheriff. That's what you're saying. Y'all are scumbags. That's what you are. Do you have children? You think this is the best way? If your child got into an argument with someone, for a cop to knock out your child because of a verbal argument? A past incident with other students, a Liberty High School student also told TMZ about an incident involving that same cop at the school. Junior Deja Watts said that she thought Fournier was a chill dude, but Watts claims that she saw him use pepper spray on a group of kids who were fighting 2 years ago. She now thinks the whole department is suspicious, okay? This cop was also involved in 2 traffic crashes while on duty. He was fined $166 for careless driving in both incidents, even the first one that resulted in $3,000 of damage and injured somebody. So this guy has a history of violence against children. He has a history of violence on the road. He has a history of getting away with it. There you have it. Jordan, what are your thoughts?
This is not somebody who should be in a police force, let alone at a school. We shouldn't have cops in schools, period. Like there's no justification for having armed, violent first responders where kids learn. There's better ways. If the justification is for police shootings, which is another, or school shootings, which is another problem altogether that people don't want to respond to. The answer is not putting more people with guns in schools. But moreover, on this incident specifically, he could have killed her. My takeaway watching that video was the thud that you hear when her head hits the concrete. Now I have a friend who was pushed one time, stumbled backward, hit his head on a curb, and almost died.
Wow.
His brain swelled. They had to remove a portion of his skull. Like it's a miracle he is still alive. This could have killed her. Now, memory loss, sleeping problems, I'm sure PTSD from this incident will develop later. This is somebody who is a kid. Her brain has not fully formed. She's 16. Like you do not need to tackle her, throw her face first into the pavement to break up a verbal altercation. What I also read about this guy was he's a football coach. So what he did was, it looked a lot like a tackle you would see a linebacker employ, but you're doing that to people who are padded and wearing a helmet. Now he did this to an underage girl, face first into the pavement. It's unbelievably grotesque.
Yeah. And then the way that this department decided to come to his defense, the words that they used in order to make it seem appropriate and within protocol, this is completely insane. And now we're getting information about the background of this cop. No surprise there. He continues to get away with negligent and willfully criminal behavior. All right, let me go to this next story. This was so sad. A man who claimed to be a cop illegally detained a young black male in his own neighborhood. So this guy has finally been sentenced. He was arrested, okay? He has finally been sentenced. His name is Luis Santos, 56 years of age. He has a year of probation, 25 hours of community service. He accosted a black teenager last summer. Here's the video and some of that 911.
You work here? You live here? You live here? Where? I live right there. Where you live? What's the address? Huh? You're not going anywhere. You're being detained. You're not going anywhere.
I'm sorry.
You're sorry?
I can go.
You stay right where you at.
Police, fire, medical.
You stay right where you at. Hello?
Hello, 911.
Good morning. I have somebody breaking into the cars. We got it on video, and I got it right here in front of me.
Okay, bear with me. And is this person white, black, Hispanic?
Huh? He's a black guy.
He's a black guy?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it an adult, a juvenile?
You stay right where you are. I'm telling you this. Well, you should be, because you can't be breaking into people's place. We got you on video, so relax. Relax. I think he's still one of the bikes.
Okay, does he have any weapons on him?
I don't see any, but I got him with his hands up. Yeah. I'm an off-duty officer.
He's a damn lie. He's not a cop. He's not an off-duty officer. He is a security guard, but not an off-duty officer. That is a crime. You just impersonated a police officer. You're a wannabe. The kid in question, the young African-American kid, committed absolutely no crimes whatsoever. When the real police arrived, this kid was so scared, he was hyperventilating. This guy not only said he broke into cars, which there was no evidence of any car break-in whatsoever, no crime, once again, had been committed by this kid. He then says the kid's bike was stolen. That's what he said to the 911 operator, and then tells the 911 operator that he's an off-duty cop. Okay, let me give you some more background. The first deputy arrived at 5:42 a.m. That was approximately 8 minutes after the 911 call. The Hillsborough Circuit judge gave, I guess a creative community service sentence by encouraging this individual, Mr. Santos, to actually watch Ava Duvernay's award-winning documentary called 13th, okay? So put up a picture of this guy. Okay, that's him, that's his full picture. That's courtesy of the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. His full name is Luis Orlando Santos Santiago, and 56 years of age, accosted a then 18-year-old black teen on June 9th, 2020, okay? You saw all of that happen. The mother gave an emotional response and said, and I quote, and I gotta be real quick here, as an African-American mother, we have to have difficult conversations with our black sons about diffusing situations, about keeping your hands up if you are stopped, and complying even if you did nothing wrong. This is absurd, but unfortunately necessary in our community. I hope people hear this and change the narrative of judging young black men. Well said, mother, and your son handled himself quite well during that entire ordeal. We got like 20 seconds left. Jordan, brother, how can people connect with you? How can people follow you?
I host a show right here on TYT on Twitch. It'll be tonight at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. Arish Azizada of Afghans for a Better Tomorrow will be joining me. You won't want to miss it.
That's awesome, man. Thank you, brother, for joining me on Indisputable. Always great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we got more. Stick and stay. It's Indisputable.
So a lot of progressive office holders are doing something fun. I like fun. They're doing the last 2 years in 2 minutes. Okay, we're gonna try it here. First, I wanna let you guys know about the years before that. Hey, remember we started the Just Democrats here on the Young Turks. It was officially launched on our air, basically by you guys. And then we featured AOC, we featured Cori Bush, and Ro Khanna became the first ever Just Democrat incumbent, all on the Young Turks. Now, the last 2 years have been a spectacular follow-up to that. So let's put the 2 minutes on the clock and do this. Young Turks got to start back in 2002, and I think we've been an important part of the progressive movement ever since. What we mainly do is amplify the progressive voice and candidates out there, and I think we've done a pretty good job. Right now, we're currently #1 most engaged news politics network online, beating CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC, all of them. We're #1 in total minutes watched. That means not only the number of people watching, but how long they watch. We just crossed 20 million followers and 500 million monthly views. Now, why? That's because actually the country's progressive. It's 2/3 progressive. And you guys have allowed us to be your voice, and we're incredibly thankful for that. So what did we do with that voice? Well, let's look at 2019. We went all over the country talking to you guys and the candidates. So we were in Miami, we were in Detroit, we were in Houston, and we were in Iowa. In fact, we were all over Iowa. You guys were all over Iowa, and all of the candidates saw you guys. We had wonderful people speaking, like the one and only Nina Turner at our rallies. Bernie Sanders stopped by, Andrew Yang, Elizabeth Warren. We interviewed almost everyone on the campaign trail, with the exception of Biden and Buttigieg. And we held them accountable. We even did a progressive economic pledge, and so many wonderful people signed on to that. Bernie Sanders, Warren, Marianne Williamson, AOC, the entire squad, Justice Democrats, and so many others. Now, on top of all that, we started a show called The Conversation, where we featured so many progressive thinkers, writers, and candidates. And one of the candidates we featured in 2019 was Jamal Bowman. Here comes Jamal Bowman. Then we had an amazing 2020. We hired a climate reporter. Damage Report passed 500,000 subscribers. Young Turks passed 5 million subscribers. We're getting the message out to more and more people. Bernie Sanders comes on in the heat of the primary. He comes on after the election to say what we're going to do for the future. And then Marie Newman wins. Jamal Bowman wins. Cori Bush wins. And then just when you thought it couldn't get any better, here comes Nina Turner. Hello, somebody. And she's running for Congress and she comes on the Young Turks first. On election week, we had nearly 2 million hours of viewing. We're #1 destination for progressives. You made all that happen. This is amazing. And thank you for those 2 years. What, I went past 2 minutes? Of course!
Viewers had asked for an interview with the TYT Lizard. Mr. Lizard. Oh, you changed colors today. Nice. I don't even know how you feel about us. Do you even like us?
Well, you guys made me this awesome house, so I'm kind of in your debt. I was found outside on the street, and you gave me a home. Granted, it was a really crappy home for a while, but then through the power of fundraising, I became a person who has a multi-level Trump-style mansion.
You do. By the way, you never looked better, man. Normally, you're just green or just brown, but today you're in mid-lizard, right?
I'm not very smart. I'm a lizard, so I don't know how the science works. I guess this is just my mood. It's not every day that thresholds like this are broken. I'm just so excited. I can't contain my pigmentation.
And now you're showing it off.
Yep.
Yeah, I've never seen the lizard like this before.
What's happening? Welcome back. Okay, we got a lot of viewer comments. I'm gonna read as many as I can, all right? TYT member, Trador says, agree that there is no need for police in schools. We need more counselors and therapists. Hell, let's get some animals up in there to help troubled youth. Police do nothing but harm. I know Sheriff Andy was a stand-up guy, but he is a TV character. We seem to have a shortage on empathy with police. Okay, cognitive dissonance is a hell of a drug. Okay. All right, welcome back. Let's do this. We got a lot to talk about in the bullpen. That's coming up in a minute. Let me go to some of these comments. TYT member, Trador says, agree that there is no need for police in schools. We need more counselors and therapists. Hell, let's get some animals up in there to help troubled youth. Police do nothing but harm. I know Sheriff Andy was a stand-up guy, but he is a TV character. We seem to have a shortage on empathy with the police. Okay, super chat YouTube, Nicolette Horates. Thank you for all you and your team do. Your show is invaluable. Well, thank you, and it's made possible because of you all. Pitchfork says, being against masks in elementary schools is just supporting tiny coffin makers. Vicky Clee, you stop the fight to stop people getting hurt. You don't get involved and cause maximum damage yourself. That's a great point, Vicky, because the damage that cop caused that 16-year-old child is worse than what any fight that would have happened, okay? And this wasn't even a fight, it was a verbal argument. All right, Twitch, Donkey Teeth Beatles, BTLS. I've got a fever and the only prescription is truth. I need Doc to write it for me. Well, you got it, all right? Insomnia Nora says, while I have not found the guy who was in I Wish a Karen Would, I'm 95% sure I found the Dunkin' Donuts they were at. Listen, that means we're halfway there, okay? I need somebody to go to the Dunkin' Donuts. No, don't do that, don't go to the Dunkin' Donuts. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bullpen. In the Bullpen today, we have Mr. Eric Grunor. He calls himself an average Christian. He is a business owner and also a former high school teacher, okay? Worked in corporate America. He has a lot of experience. Eric, good day, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Man, let's talk about your belief as it relates to mask and mask mandates. I don't want to presume what you know or believe about it. So if you would, give us some of your sentiment as it relates to mask mandates, in particular in school systems.
Sure, I believe everybody should be able to do what they feel comfortable doing. Do I feel mandates are appropriate? I don't. I think mandates are too much government control. I think if parents and students want to wear masks, absolutely. I don't believe that it should be mandatory that every child and every teacher wears a mask.
Let me ask you this, because you are a former school teacher. I'm also a former high school teacher myself. Right. There are many mandates of school children for virtually all of public education and 92% of private education. There's a mandate for certain vaccinations. You know this as a former high school teacher.
Absolutely.
Those mandates include diphtheria, tetanus, measles, mumps, polio, chickenpox, and a few others, right?
Sure.
Those mandates have been there for a long time. Do you consider those to be government intrusive?
So I think there's a difference, because there isn't a mandate for flu vaccines. And there's plenty of studies out, and even a couple have came out in the last 2 days, that have basically said that the current vaccines do not prevent the spread of the COVID virus.
But masks do.
Doesn't prevent the spread, it may reduce it a little bit. It doesn't.
No, sir, not a little bit. You just added that part on. It actually reduces it by 40 to 60% based on studies from medical reports.
Well, when you look at the certain masks, students don't wear masks the way they're supposed to be worn.
Oh, okay.
And you know that as well. Cloth masks are worn all up and down. You also have cloth masks with the young kids that are sneezing into them, they're coughing into them, they're dropping them, and they're putting them back on their faces. So if we were really concerned about the spreading of a flu-like virus, why don't we have masks all the time, even before COVID?
So let me highlight a couple of things you said, because I think it's interesting, your point of view here. Let me start with the mask mandate itself, okay? You said that you're okay with teachers or students or parents doing what they want to do, but you do feel as if mandates are actually too much government intrusion. So let me ask you this, because states, Republican states only, are passing executive orders to ban a school system's ability, a local body's ability to actually implement a mask mandate. Do you not find that to be government intrusion? If that local community, those local parents, those local elected board leaders, and that local board of commission, if they say We need a mask mandate given the science of what's happening to us. Well, is it not then government intrusion for the Republican governor to tell them what they can and cannot do in their local community?
What's the difference if a governor or a school board?
Just answer that question.
I am answering that question.
Is that not government intrusion?
I don't believe a school board has a right to tell every student they need to wear a mask when really the science is not an exact science, because you have different studies. And it seems that the school boards, and I know you're shaking your head, but there's different studies that talk about the benefits of masks in schools. Students are the least affected when it comes to COVID and the easiest to recover from. Many scientists say one thing, other scientists say another.
Sir, here's what I want you to do, Eric. I would like you to cite your sources. I'm going to cite the Ohio Medical Center as one of my sources. Where does your source come from that says masks do not decrease the spread of COVID-19? What study?
I didn't say they didn't decrease. I said they do reduce if worn properly. But students are the least effective by COVID.
Okay.
Students that are healthy are the least effective by COVID.
Let me give you some numbers.
We didn't have a mask mandate for the flu, so why are we doing it for COVID?
All right, so let me give you some numbers. You first said something that was totally incorrect, that school boards do not have the right to do this. School boards have the right by way of legislation or legislative authority to implement administrative policies inside of that school district. That includes the prerequisites of vaccinations. That includes the prerequisite of credits to pass to the next grade. That includes qualifications of teachers. That also includes children who have been suspended being let back into the institution, et cetera, et cetera. All of these are administrative laws, and the school board does have the authority in order to enact, control, and have authority over those administrative laws. You do understand that, correct?
Does the governor have the ability to set a standard for the state?
The governor has the authority through executive action, correct?
Okay, so yeah. Which one?
Yeah, but once again, let me get back to what you said first. You said the school board does not have the authority to do this. I've never argued about the authority of the governors. I've argued that their authority is misplaced, immoral, and unethical. You just said the school board does not have the authority. Hold on, brother Eric. You said the school board does not have the authority to implement mask mandates. That's a lie. That's not true. They do have the authority to do so.
Well, when they cite scientific reasons for it, and those reasons certainly are not 100%. It's because a lot of school boards, as I'm sure you've attended school board meetings as I have, a lot of the reasons behind their rationale for mandates are more political than scientific.
That's untrue.
Well, maybe you attend different school board meetings than I do.
Well, let me cite some of the actual data. Mask worn properly has shown a decrease of the spread of COVID between 40 to 60%. That's amazing. I mean, even if it showed 10%, that's something, right? And so your comparison also about how this is basically the flu. Let me give you a number, man, because you guys continue to say these very non-scientific things.
What guys? Who guys? Who's that? Who's you guys?
People like you, okay?
That have an opinion about masks?
No, the people that say basically there's different science out here as it relates to COVID and how it actually impacts children. Let me give you the hard science of why this is not comparable to the flu. You ready?
Go right ahead, sure.
Okay, in the peak season of the flu, the death rate in the United States of America for 1 week in a peak flu season is 718 people. The peak for COVID is between 15,000 in 1 week to 25,000. That's your death rate. Your death rate is not comparable here. Also, the death rate for the flu overall is roughly 0.1%. And your death rate for coronavirus is estimated 1 to 3%, depending on your region, a difference of a few 100,000 once again. And the Delta variant that now accounts for 94% of all COVID cases, the Delta variant has shown to be significantly problematic to kids who are 12 and under, because as with the first COVID virus before the variant, kids were not experiencing the same symptoms. Many of them were actually asymptomatic. Not so with the Delta variant. The science is coming in, but it is clear that the Delta variant has more of an extreme impact and effect on children. My question to you is this: why is it a bad idea if we're in the field and business of safety when it relates to children? Why is it a bad idea to mandate children to wear a mask? We have cops at schools. We have rules that children have to abide by in schools. We have physical touching policies at schools. Why would we not try to protect children as it relates to a highly infectious virus like this that has led, these viruses have led to compromised respiratory systems and death? Why would we not do that for them?
Well, let me just clarify two things that you said. Did you say that during for flus, the flu virus, that 720 people die during the maximum flu season?
Yes, the maximum 1 week rate of deaths during the peak of the flu season is on average 700 plus.
Well, how is that possible when the average number of deaths in the United States for the flu year over year is about 20,000?
Brother, I just gave you the number, brother. And you can check my number out. Listen, Eric, listen. Check my number out at Ohio State Medical Center.
Well, you can get the flu death from the CDC.
Okay, that's fine. That's where they get their composite data. So, Eric, I just gave you the
to answer your question.
You can agree or disagree.
What do you think is the number one reason why people die from COVID that has a pre-existing condition or some kind of compromised system? What do you think that is?
Okay, say that again. I didn't catch the whole question.
The number one reason why people die that have some kind of a pre-existing medical issue that die from COVID, what do you believe that to be?
I don't understand your question, brother.
Okay.
What do I believe?
Obviously, people have died from COVID over the past year and a half. Many of those people that died from COVID had some kind of a pre-existing medical condition.
But they weren't going to die.
The majority of people that have died from COVID have some kind of a medical pre-existing.
Brother, do you understand what you're saying? The people that, listen to me, okay? The people that have died from COVID, they will be alive if it were not for COVID. Here's the truth, brother. You got people walking around every day with some kind of medical condition.
Absolutely.
The fact that they have a pre-existing medical condition should not be some kind of, well, obviously they were going to die anyway. No, they were not going to die. They called COVID. These are still people that will be alive today if it had not been for COVID-19.
Well, again, that's an opinion, and COVID.
What do you mean that's an opinion? That's a medical fact. They are dying from complications with COVID, which means if they did not have a complication with COVID, they would likely be alive. What are you talking about?
So people that have had cancer, diabetes was the number one pre-existing condition that caused, eventually that may have caused them to die. COVID certainly moves that up or caused that to happen a lot.
You just made my point for me. COVID caused that to happen. So why are we arguing pre-existing medical conditions? They're still human beings. They have a right to life and liberty. They died because of COVID-19. Was not clear about that.
The majority of people that died because they had some kind of a pre-existing compromise to their system. The people that
no sir.
You're saying the majority of the people that died.
I won't let you do that here, Eric.
That died from COVID were perfectly healthy beforehand.
Let me tell you why you should be ashamed of yourself. You call yourself a Christian man. People that have pre-existing medical conditions, whatever they may be, their lives are not less significant.
I never said
just because of that.
I
don't listen to me, brother. I don't care that they have some other medical.
I'll listen to you, but don't put words in my mouth.
Why does it matter if they had some existing medical condition?
Because we're going back to mask mandate. That was the whole point of this conversation. You're asking me about the mask mandate and why I think it's perfectly fine for the government to say everybody should wear a mask and that everybody wearing a mask is going to eliminate this disease. And that's not true. The disease is in our society. We are learning more about the disease. I almost died from COVID myself. I was in the emergency room for 3 weeks, 2 of those days of those 3 weeks, and I thought my wife was gonna be a widow. I experienced very bad, and I've had friends just like you and family members that no conversation is about mask mandates, and that's what we're talking about.
Let me read some numbers to you, Eric, because I'm really disappointed, man. you have some who die obviously because of an underlying condition connected to their COVID complication. You also have individuals who are dying, who have died without a pre-existing condition whatsoever.
Absolutely.
And you have individuals who have been adversely affected for the rest of their natural lives with a compromised respiratory system and some other issues that they will now have to deal with because of this debilitating disease. My only question to you, man, and I want you to get out of politics for a minute, okay? Just out of politics for a minute.
Okay.
Local school systems should have the authority, if they see that their children are suffering, they should have not only the authority, they should have the privilege of not having the authority taken away from them because of politics by their governor. If they see that mask in their school system will help save lives of young people and will help young people not go through a respiratory sickness. That does not make sense to you, Eric?
Well, let me ask you, what's wrong with somebody that wants to wear a mask to wear a mask?
No, they can wear a mask, but the reality of human behavior and social science of human behavior is that if you mandate masks, more people will wear masks. And if you mandate it as a prerequisite to go to that local school, you will have a lower chance of contracting COVID and spreading COVID. Those are all scientific facts. Why would we not then make a mask mandate? Why would we say school systems should not have the authority or the ability to do this for the children?
Should we mandate that parents make sure that their students are not obese? Because that's a huge cause of child illness that becomes adult illness.
Eric, I really would like you to answer the question that I posed to you.
Well, my answer is no. I don't think they have the right to tell parents how to take care of their child's health.
All right, do school boards have the right to tell you what vaccinations you need before you show up to their school?
If the vaccination will prevent other people from getting sick, this COVID vaccine does not prevent other people from getting COVID.
Okay, we're talking about masks. There is no COVID mandate vaccine right now. Mandated vaccine.
About the vaccine.
We're talking about masks being implemented in the school system. So you can say that certain vaccines, such as tetanus, diphtheria, vaccines for the measles, that's perfectly acceptable to you because it stops the spread of that virus to the places of the young people. But you're telling me that a mask, which by the way is not medically intrusive, does not cause a needle to be stuck in your body, does not introduce a chemical inside of your system. You're telling me that the school board has the right to mandate tetanus, diphtheria, measles, mumps, polio, and chickenpox vaccinations, but they do not have the authority for you to simply wear a mask on school property.
Because one prevents the spread, one may reduce. It's two different things.
Sir, wearing a mask reduces the spread of COVID-19.
As does washing your hands and not coming to school if you're sick.
Use every tool in the arsenal, brother, right?
But you have some other factors in there too.
Like what?
When you have masks on students and children, it affects them in many, many other ways than it might you and I if we wore a mask to a business. Students are not learning when they can't see people's mouths. Students are not interacting. It is extremely important for children to be able to talk, to interact. Now, if they're sick, if they have a fever, stay home. If they want to wear a mask, wear a mask.
Hey,
but
let me
to tell
ask you,
them
man.
you have to is two different things.
When you went through your ordeal, and I'm glad you made it out okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, you were in the hospital?
I was in the emergency room.
You were in the ER, did you have a ventilator?
No.
Okay, I imagine you were fatigued and you had all of these other, because you were hospitalized, right?
Yes.
I want you to remember the pain you went through for those 3 weeks. Would you stop that pain from happening to a child if you could just tell them, we're gonna mandate that you wear a mask?
If I tell a child to wear a mask, I can't tell them you will not get COVID. I can't guarantee that to a child.
But you can decrease their chances of getting it. Would you not give them that increased chance of not going through what you went through?
But they can wear a mask.
Will you support, brother, school systems, local boards having the authority to mandate masks to save children from going through what you went through?
No, because they're allowed to wear a mask. No one's telling them they can't.
Sir, they are not allowed to wear a mask in all states. The
Yes,
Texas
they are.
governor, sir,
No,
that's
no.
incorrect.
The governor of Texas, and I live in Texas. Anybody can wear a mask if they want to.
If the school system makes a mask mandate based on their science of what's happening to their children, why would the governor take that away?
He
Why?
didn't. They're
Why?
allowed to if they want to wear a
Brother,
mask.
they have taken away, these governors have taken away the mandate of the local school system doing what they have the authority to do for their children. Why do you believe in smaller government? Think about this.
Mask.
Eric,
They're
think
not
about
telling
this.
students you can't.
Think about this, Eric. You believe in
They're
less
just
government.
telling the students you don't have to. That's a
You
difference.
believe, Eric, you believe in smaller government, less government. But when a governor is telling local school systems what they can and cannot do under their own authority, they have the authority to do this. That to you is not government intrusion.
I don't believe a school board should say you have to.
Okay.
Everybody is allowed to if they want to.
All right. Brother, I definitely appreciate you being on Indisputable. Flat out of time, man. We took it all the way to the end here, brother.
Sounds
Thank you,
good.
Eric.
All right, God bless.
God bless you, man. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, please remember, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and take care of this planet. And remember, the truth is always indisputable.